So after king g2 came knight d7, then f3, and Botvinnik would have little to gain here after bishop takes h7. For example, g6, bishop takes g6, f takes g6, bishop takes d6, bishop takes d6, queen takes g6 check, and king e7. And although Botvinnik has 3 pawns for the piece, black should be fine here. He's got the 2 bishops, and his king is far from safety, and it's going to be hard for him to bring other pieces into play. So it's not really advisable to take the pawn there. Instead he played f3. Then Petrosian played g6, just stopping that attack from the bishop anyway. And then Botvinnik played rook ac1. And at the time, this move was widely criticized because e4 was thought to be better, and Botvinnik didn't play e4 now or on any of his subsequent few moves, and that's why he received the criticism. But modern analysis has shown that Petrosian has got everything superbly covered here, and if e4 is played, say with e4, then after d takes e4, f takes e4, and f6, white has nothing much to do with his pawn center, and it could well become a target for black. He'd be able to strike with things like g5 and f5, so that's not good. And also there's a possibility here, after d takes e4, of the knight recapturing. But after knight takes e4, knight takes e4, knight b6, with knight d5 to come, the dark squares here around the king will be very weak, and again it will be better for black. So the criticism was wrong there, and Botvinnik was in fact right to play rook ac1. So then came knight b6 and b3, and if e4 here, then d takes e4, f takes e4, f6, e5, knight d5 is good for black, because it keeps the tension in a way that favours him, and breaks involving h5 will become possible. And this bishop's going to have to move, because even if white takes the knight here, then this knight will take the bishop on f4 with check, and it's easily better for black. And here black will be able to get this knight to f7 and his queen to d7, and his pieces will be much better placed than white's pieces, so it will be better for black. So anyway, in b3, and then queen d7, knight e2, and knight on d to c8. And Botvinnik's last move with knight e2 shows that he recognizes the need to enter a maneuvering type of game. He wants to get a knight to f4 here, and perhaps use the half-open c-file down here. But at the same time, Petrosian has to improve his own pieces, and his idea at the moment is to swap his knight and bishop around, these 2 pieces here. With a knight on e7, it will be covering 4 vital squares: c6, d5, f5, and g6. And successful pawn advances for white are made more difficult to achieve. A bishop on d6 here would challenge white's control of the diagonal, which his bishop has good control of now. So that's Petrosian's plan at the moment, and that's what he's got in mind with knight d to c8. Then came a4, which is threatening to win this knight here. If a5 is played, then the knight's got no squares to go to, so it basically forces the reply a5, which is what Petrosian played. But it's not an especially good move from Botvinnik. A better idea here would have been h4, which gives Petrosian more difficulties with defense. So for example, if h5 and then g5, and black's dark squares will be very weak. Or if instead after h4 there's bishop d6, and after h5 knight e7, h takes g6, f takes g6, bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, knight f4. Although white has the initiative, he also has 2 backward pawns, here, and here. So again, it's not ideal for him. The other variation would have suited him better, but he does have the initiative, and it's another thing that he probably was considering and maybe should have played. It's I mean, it's more aggressive and more forcing than a4. So Petrosian replied a5, and after bishop g3, which again, you know, in this situation h4 is another good move, like another, for the same reasons again, it's better. But here Botvinnik was probably anxious about his pawn structure, starting to look kind of dodgy at yeah, here we are here with these two backup pawns. You know, it's a bad weakness, and he's trying to maneuver just with his pieces alone. But over the next few moves, Petrosian's play proves to be the most accurate and the most effective. After bishop g3, he played bishop d6. Then came knight f4, knight e7, and knight f1. And here again, if Botvinnik plays e4, then bishop takes f4, bishop takes f4, d takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes d4. It's safe for Petrosian to capture this pawn safely. You know, even after knight d6 check and then king d7 is okay, and he's a pawn up. There's no particularly dangerous threats from white, and he's fine here. But he has to be careful about move order. If after e4 he plays d takes e4, then knight takes e4 is winning for white because of the threats of the fork here from the knight, which have to be met, and in the meantime he won't be able to avoid losing material. So anyway, after knight f1 came h5 from Petrosian, and here he's really reached the limit of what prophylaxis can achieve. You know, you can only do so much by preventing your opponent's move, and with h5 he reaches this limit. His defense so far has been perfect and restricted Botvinnik from transferring his spatial advantage into an attack. Then came bishop e2, h4, bishop h2, and g5, which is the one move that has been criticized by some analysts as it allows knight h5. Another variation here, instead of g5, is queen c7, and after knight takes e6, f takes e6. Black will soon be able to free his game and build initiative with either e5 or g5, which would be okay because the knight's gone. But Petrosian didn't go for that. He played g5 instead. Okay, that's the end of part 2.